Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. I'm gonna go ahead and show you my calibration settings that I'm using on this BenQ 4K HDR projector. What you're looking at right now, it's 128 inches. Normally I go to 138, but now it's 128. I'm using it for this purpose demo, okay? So that way you guys can see a little bit better how I am calibrating this projector. I'm using Apple 4K TV as that demo example. And first thing first, let me show you what I'm using on the Apple 4K TV. Video and audio. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but let me zoom in a little bit. Like for example, right here, I'm using a 4K HDR format, which is 60 Hertz. That's the best. And then here I selected chroma output to 422. Now the reason I selected chroma 422 it's because I already have HDMI 2.0 high speed 18 megabits per second cable connected to this thing. Okay, so now that you guys have seen that, let's move on to calibration process on this BenQ ht-2550 projector screen. Like I said, I'm using here 128 inches diagonal. I'm using two different rooms. My other room, I'm using a 138 to 188 inches on my other bigger room that I have, and that's what I mainly watch movies on my 188 inch. But here I'm using from 128 to 133. This thing goes up to 138 and then 133 and then 128. Okay, I can choose how I want to regulate my screen. What I basically do is I measure my distance and I write it down. So if I want to move it to 128, I push it a little bit forward to that certain position. Or if I want it to be 128 or 133, I push it backwards a little bit. Okay, so let me show you my calibration settings right here really quick. So I'm gonna probably have to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. Okay, so let's start with brightness. I left brightness at 50. And I think brightness at 50, it's definitely something you should always leave at 50 for a projector. Okay, I wouldn't recommend you guys moving brightness down. Contrast, 50. You don't want to go any higher than that. You want to keep it at 50 because you already have bright luminous light, and you also have HDR peak brightness to +1, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And then color, here's the thing with the color. You can go to 55. I personally left it at 53 because I'm trying to balance it out. And I'll explain to you why I left color at 53. You will see, once I finish the calibration here, you will see why I left color at 53. It'll make sense to you at the end of this video. Tint, I never mess with this tint, I always leave it alone. Sharpness at 5. This is a bit tricky. When you have such a big giant screen in your room or in your bedroom, right now I'm in my bedroom, but I can put it back in my other living room where I can go up to 188 inches. But if you move sharpness higher than, let's say, 5 or 8 or 10, or if you go up to 15 and 20, the problem is that outline will definitely show up on a big giant screen. Okay, you're gonna see that outline, and it's gonna look god awful. So I would recommend to keep sharpness at 5. This is what I'm recommending here for you guys to do, because you want to avoid that crushing outline that happens. That crushing outline is gonna destroy your detail. Okay, and you don't want to do that, especially on a big giant screen like this. Now let's move on to the advanced mode right here. Now this is the important part right here. You know, I was really contemplating, I was debating how I should adjust my HDR brightness. Again, this is 2200 luminous brightness light, and we all know that HDR thrives on a peak brightness. So I figure, why not move peak brightness to +1? And I gotta tell you, moving HDR brightness to +1 definitely helps on this projector. It definitely brings more vivid colors. They pop out of the screen. So I would recommend leave it at +1. Color temperature, I like to keep it at normal, even though you have the ability to use a calibrating equipment like Keltec, or not Keltec, the Kelman. I'm sorry, Kelman. You can use that calibrating equipment, Kelman, and then you can do it based on that recommendation. But you really have to know what you're doing. For those of you who want to calibrate using a Kelman, all right, then you're gonna have to know exactly what you're doing. Okay, you got to learn the how to measure the proper offset of colors. All right, and it can take a while. I don't recommend you doing this and messing with this unless you are somebody who's been involved in calibration and it's a certified professional calibrator. So if you're not certified professional calibrator, I don't recommend you messing with this. I personally leave it on normal. That's my choice for the temperature color. Again, I choose normal because I don't want to be dealing with a orange temperature or cold blue temperature. I like to keep it in between. I don't want the yellow, sepia, orange, or that cold blue. I like to keep it in between, balanced. Same thing with the color management. This is something that you gotta know what you're doing. You have to be a professional calibrator and have to have all this professional equipment to do this. Color gamut, I keep it on automatic, but you can choose BT2020. BT2020, it's something, if you select this, you're definitely going to get the best possible wide color gamut. So I guess you could leave it at 2020. There's the BT709, but this one supports BT2020, which is the full wide color gamut. So you can leave it on 2020. And here's another important stuff right here that I like on this projector, on this BenQ. It's called a Cinema Master. Cinema Master has a color enhancer. On top of the HDR, it also has a color enhancer, which basically enhances the color, okay, on this projector. So this is why I speak highly of this projector, because the amount of tools and features they're presented into this projector, it really makes your projector looks colorful. And I have not seen any other projector out there besides this one for $1,500 that reproduces the colors as this projector does so well. So I left the color enhancer at 7, which is at the medium, and I left the pixel enhancer 4K at 6. What this basically is, it's the pixel shifter that it's sharpening the detail on each pixel. Yes, that's what it basically does. But I would keep it at the middle. You remember, we're looking for the balance. We don't want to overblown our detail or you know, oversaturate anything. So you gotta balance things out. See, everything I do here, it's balanced. Nothing is crossing the threshold. So that's what I'm doing here. Hopefully you guys are taking notes of this. For those of you who do have this projector, I think this will help you out a little bit. Now, brilliant color mode is the cinema color mode that I personally leave always on, because it's really going to enhance the color in your movies and in your content. So I keep this on all the time. Light mode, it's something to do with your lamp, but don't mess with this. Just leave it automatic, you know. So as you can see, there's plenty of features available on the on this BenQ. Oh, another thing you should definitely do, HDMI settings, keep it on automatic. You know, I always tell people keep this on automatic. That is my advice to you. And quick cooling, this is something that's very useful if you want to make sure that your projector doesn't overheat. This is the best option for you to use. Keep it on at all times. What's going to happen is, if your projector starts to get really hot, it's going to shut off by itself, and quickly within 2-3 minutes it's going to cool it off, and then you can go back again and start watching. This is a very useful feature to be used here. Okay, so hopefully this shows you just the amount of feature that this projector has. And it's really important for you to understand, as I mentioned in my previous videos, the projectors are meant to be in a very dark room. Okay, they're not meant to be on a lit up room. All right, I guess we can maybe click something here like a Netflix, and here I'm using one example, Gant O, which is Gant 0. And it looks great, man. This looks fantastic. The colors really pop, and the picture quality, it's amazing. You guys have to remember, what this projector is doing, it's really, in terms of projecting, all right, it's not a TV, it's not a panel, it's a projector. So in terms of projecting, emitting that DLP light onto a wall here, it really does a great job. And I think for those of you who are interested in projectors, in my honest opinion, BenQ ht-2550 will most definitely give you that excellent picture quality that you're looking for in a projector, and it definitely does. Here, I bring it a little bit closer so you guys can see it. Keep in mind, this is a 128 inch that I'm projecting here, and it is really hard to depict this through a camera, but you guys will just have to take my word for it that if you try these calibration settings that I have implemented here, you will see just how much the color and the detail will just pop out of the screen here. Maybe I can show you one 4K content here really quick. And here I'm using one example, which is the newest Thor Ragnarok. I don't even know how you pronounce that thing. I always had a hard time pronouncing that movie. I just call it Thor Kangaroo. I'm messing around. I know what's called, you know, Ragnarok. But you can see right here just how beautifully, now I'm in the pitch black right now. I turned off all my lights. The only thing you see, it's a little tiny LED right here that's showing up that I'm using here at the bottom. But everything else around me, it's turned off, and just look how beautifully the colors pop on this movie. And this is not even 4K. What you're looking at here, it's a 1080p movie being upscaled to 4K. That's because this projector has a upscaling technology via pixel shifter, which is even better. Mean every and each individual pixel will be upshifting it to 4K. So 1080p source will be upshifted and upscaled with 8.3 million pixels to fit the screen. And the brilliant color that's being represented here on this projector is truly remarkable. And here, I'll move my camera around just so you guys know that I'm not BSing, because some people have a hard time believing. Here, I'm going to walk around a little bit just so you guys can see. Here. And when I say this is great for a projector, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that this is better than OLED. I didn't say that. But I'm simply saying for a projector, for you to be getting these type of colors, it's pretty darn good. Contrast ratio, it's a 15,000 to 1, so it's okay. It's not the greatest. Obviously, if it was 1 million to 1 or 2 million to 1, it would be even better. But it's still pretty darn good, considering that it's a 15,000 to 1. And of course, the detail, it's simply amazing. Here I am now getting very close to the screen so you can see it. But remember, you have to calibrate properly, guys. Calibration, it's really a key on any device, on any TV, whether you're using a projector or whether you're using a TV. I don't care if you have top-of-the-line OLED. If you're not properly calibrating that television, then you're not going to get the quality you want. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you got to know what you're doing when you're calibrating. And my tip for you guys is keep everything balanced. Everything. Color, contrast, sharpness. Keep everything balanced. And of course, there's Hulk, famous Hulk scene. I mean, just look at these colors, man. Just look how beautiful this looks. Honestly, just look at the colors and the green and his suit. For a projector, this is really outstanding. In my opinion. But then again, you gotta use a good calibration. You gotta know how to calibrate, guys. And like I said earlier, the best tip I can give you is balance. Balance everything. As you can see here, everything looks natural. The colors are not being oversaturated, so and you definitely notice the detail because you got excellent upscaling capabilities here. Called a pixel shifter that upscales the 1080p source to a 4K, 8.3 million pixels. And quite honestly, I don't think you're going to get anything better when you go to a movie theater. I think when you go to a movie theater, you're definitely going to notice something similar as what you're seeing here on this projector. And when I say that this is pretty darn good for a projector, because I have tried other projectors, I still have Epson, and I can tell you that projectors have come a long way. But remember, you gotta calibrate it. You have to use a proper calibration. You have to balance things out, and also you gotta make sure that you are in a very dark room. Projectors don't work well on a lit up room. They were made for the dark room. And here, even with Kate Blanchett, you can see that detail, it's present, color, it's not oversaturated, and there's definitely that nice color representation that's visible even through this camera. Especially here, like on this scene. And even here, you see how the color pops out of the screen here, even on the armor that he's wearing. Everything just becomes more colorful and detailed. But remember, you gotta see this in person to truly appreciate as to what I'm seeing here. And even here, keeping HDR brightness to +1 definitely pays off here. Okay, let me show you one scene, because I don't want to be flagged by Disney and Marvel. Let me show you one more scene with him and Hulk really quick. So anyway, there you have it, guys. Hopefully this video was informative. I know it's a bit long, it's 22 minutes, but if you have this projector, or if you're thinking about buying it, or if you're not sure yet, if you're on the fence, hopefully this will give you some idea on what sort of features it has available, and also how to calibrate this projector. I highly recommend this projector, but again, it is not for everyone. Okay? Thank you.